Today we take the time again to play around the NHL Draft Lottery Simulator. We're going to take a look at the NHL standings, simulate the NHL Draft based on today's standings, determine who would get the first overall pick if things were taking place today, and then we're going to conduct a mock draft for the top 10 selections. All that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're going to once again be playing with the NHL Draft Lottery Simulator tool courtesy of Tankathon.com. We'll take a look at the standings, where all the teams are, who has the best odds, and of course, who is going to be fortunate to win the first overall selection and have that chance to get Macklin Celebrini, who has been far and away the projected consensus number one overall pick for an extended period of time. So we're going to first hop onto the computer. We'll go onto the Tankathon.com website where we can simulate the draft, and then from there we'll conduct my top 10 selections. All right, so here we are on the Tankathon.com website for the NHL Draft Lottery Simulation. So what we're looking at here, of course, is basically their list here of the teams in reversed order who have the best odds of winning the draft lottery. It's a reminder, there's the top 2 spots available for the draft lottery, and you can move up a maximum of 10 spots. So in this list here, you see San Jose with the best chance of winning, followed by Chicago, Anaheim, Columbus, Arizona, Montreal, Ottawa, Calgary, Seattle, New Jersey, and Buffalo. They're the only teams that are eligible to move up 10 spots to get all the way to number 1. Obviously, teams like the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Islanders, the Flyers, the Wild, and the Blues are all in the lottery right now. And they can move up. They just can't move up all the way to number 1. So if you see a simulation end up like that, it just means that the Sharks or the Blackhawks, like who, obviously in this case San Jose, would not get bumped out of that spot. So we'll see here. So we're going to simulate the lottery here in just a second, but you can see like the odds over here to the far right. Obviously the odds decrease dramatically as you go down the list here, and we'll see what happens. And some of these teams also have conditions on their pick. So if you look at this Calgary pick, has a lockbox next to it. It says this pick is currently not traded because it's protected 1 through 19. So if that pick ends up a top 19 pick, the Calgary Flames can retain it. So, but otherwise there is a trade that's connected to it. Same thing here with this Devils pick as well. And then the Penguins pick is going to the San Jose Sharks. Now there's nothing there condition wise. So the Sharks are getting the Penguins pick no matter what. So the Sharks very well could have 2 picks within the top 12 at least, if not higher, depending on how that lottery goes. Obviously, the Sharks were victim of the high pick going the opposite direction when they, of course, and that came from that Karlsson trade to Pittsburgh, but when they traded for Karlsson with the Ottawa Senators, that first round pick ended up producing Tim Stützle for the Ottawa Senators at number 3 overall. So that not exactly what they had in mind when they made that trade. So let's now simulate this draft lottery, and we'll see how things go. We've seen multiple different teams here win as we've done this exercise numerous times throughout the season. Who will win today? Let's find out. We have the Calgary Flames. The Flames have moved up 7 spots. To my recollection, as many times as we've run this exercise, the Flames have not won the draft lottery when I've been doing this to make these videos. So that's definitely a first, and that would be huge for them. Macklin Celebrini going to the Flames would be a complete game changer. The Anaheim Ducks win the 2nd spot as well, so they get to move up, where the Sharks and the Blackhawks both end up moving down 2 spots each, and the Jackets, the Coyotes, the Habs, and the Sens all drop 1 spot as well. So that's certainly going to make a little bit of a fun dynamic. So let's now hop over. We'll go into the mock draft portion of this video where I'm going to project who I think these teams are going to select with these top 10 picks. Selecting first overall, we have the Calgary Flames, and there's no doubt they'd be thrilled to take Macklin Celebrini first overall. The BC native, of course, Canadian-born player playing at BU right now. Had a heck of a season. Of course, they're not quite done here yet with their campaign, but Celebrini's a finalist for the Hobey Baker Trophy. Had a phenomenal first year of college hockey, playing against largely older opponents and being very dominant. Some people have said he might not be as offensively dominant as last year's first overall pick, Connor Bedard, to NHL, but a lot of other scouts say he might be a much more complete player and is still a franchise-altering first overall selection, and Calgary would be absolutely thrilled to get him here. Selecting second overall, we have the Anaheim Ducks, and I have no doubt they'd want to take a top defenseman here, and I think the right pick is Artem Levshunov, the big right shot defenseman, Russian-born, playing in the U.S., right D for Michigan State University. Certainly, like I said, he's got a good size, 6'2", about 210 pounds. Had a great season in the NCAA this year, putting up 35 points in 38 games. He's got the size, he's got the strength. I know at times I've had him down as number 2 or 3. Sometimes he's slipped to 4 or 5. Pretty much always been a top 5 pick for me, but Levshunov is, I think, going to be the right player here for Anaheim. I think he brings the style of play and everything that the Ducks would be looking for here. He's developed really, really quickly and has a real solid chance of being impactful two-way defenseman at the NHL. Selecting third overall, we have the San Jose Sharks, and I have them selecting Caden Lindstrom. Lindstrom would be an absolute monster here for the Sharks to pick up from Medicine Hat in the WHL. It's a huge size, 6'4", 216 pounds. He put up 46 points, including 27 goals in 32 games in the Western Hockey League this year. He's been dominant at the junior level, knows how to use his size, knows how to protect pucks, win battles, and play with lots of contact. His physical tools, combine him with his skating, give him a little bit of a comparison to Quinton Byfield. And we've seen Byfield have a little bit of a slow start to his career, but he's really figured things out this year. So to me, I think he's going to be a real high-end forward here, and I think the Sharks would be a great landing spot for him given their spot in this mock draft and the simulation. At fourth overall, we have the Chicago Blackhawks, and I have them selecting Russian player Ivan Demidov. Now, Demidov, of course, is expected to stay in Russia for at least a little while. Most of these players do that for a couple years. I think the Blackhawks are a team that can afford to be patient here. They know they're not going to be real competitive for a few more years. You could argue that he has the potential to be the second best player in this draft. There's been a lot of times I've had Demidov listed at number 2 here, but I think the teams in front of the Blackhawks would want more of an impact faster. I don't think they want to wait for Demidov to come over when they have other parts of the pieces of the puzzle here that fit their team extremely well. But he's certainly a really, really high-end offensive player and has a brilliant mind, a lethal release, and could be a great pickup to play with Bedard here down the road in Chicago. At number 5 overall, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets, and we have them taking American-born player Cole Yzerman. Now, Yzerman's going to be playing college hockey next year. Columbus would have no problem with that. They know they're not going to be right up near the top of the standings. He's a player who's kind of gets a mixed amount of reviews, you could say. But to me, he's an undeniable talent, has a terrific shot, proven goal scorer. It's going to be expected as well that Columbus is going to want a player who can kind of be kind of close to home, keep an eye on, and obviously they just got Adam Fantilli last year. I think Yzerman would be a great addition to that group of forwards to play with Fantilli down the road. Very talented winger with a scoring touch, could be a great line mate for Fantilli. He's going to go play U.S. college hockey and likely be a situation where he might even only play one season. Difficult to say. Likely, 2 years wouldn't hurt because he does need to round out some other areas of his game, but Yzerman would be a great pickup here for Columbus. At number 6 overall, we have the Arizona Coyotes, and I have them taking Anton Silyev, another top defenseman, this one Russian-born. Certainly a defensive prospect here that would go right near towards the top of the rankings when it comes to the prospects available in the Coyotes organization. They already have some other big blue liners, and this is another one. 6'7" defender, playing meaningful minutes on one of the KHL's better teams, which is rare at his age, at only 17 years of age. He's not expected to necessarily be a super high-end offensive player, but certainly has some offensive attributes that could make him a pretty good two-way player, top 4 type defenseman down the road. But I could see him being a good fit with a team like Arizona, where they also have the patience to wait for him to come over from Russia. Next up at 7th overall, we have the Montreal Canadiens, and I have them selecting from the WHL Spokane Chiefs, Berkeley Catton. Catton's a player who's been kind of an up and down on my list this year. I've had him going to the Habs a few other times. I do think long-term that he would be a great fit there. Kind of described as a slippery forward with excellent puck skills. Is a thrill to watch in the offensive zone. Great deception, and certainly a player that could be a real solid offensive dynamo at the NHL level. Projects to be likely a top 6 forward. Certainly has all the necessarily offensive skills if he can have it translate and put it all together at the NHL level. But he's also been able to play the penalty kill, which also makes him a little bit more of a rounded player. Could be a third-line guy if need be, depending on how his offensive skills work out. But Catton has the potential to be a real solid, two-way offensive gifted player to play in your top 6. At 8th overall, we have the Ottawa Senators, and I have them taking a huge 6'3" defenseman from the OHL, and that's Sam Dickinson. Dickinson could be a great pickup here for Ottawa, who wants to add some more size and strength on their back end. Obviously, he's going to play a junior a little bit longer, at least one more year, maybe 2, we'll see. But London's a great place for him to learn. That team has produced a lot of NHL talent, great coaching. Because, like I said, he has a size and strength, and a lot of scouts say that he has an incredible toolbox, and will likely be a real solid two-way top 4D down the road. So he's got an attractive package of size, mobility, and strong defensive play that would make him an absolute great pickup for the Ottawa Senators that kind of help soothe some of their issues that they have now on the back end. At 9th overall, we have the Seattle Kraken, and I have them selecting from the WHL Tij Aginla. Aginla is going to be a pretty dynamic player, has a great knack of goal scoring. Seattle desperately needs more goal scorers, would fit in well with their younger talent like Beniers, and hopefully Shane Wright can make that jump as well. I know a lot of Flames fans would like to see him end up with Calgary because of the history with his dad, Jerome, but obviously in this mock draft simulation, they end up going 1st overall, so they're not going to take him with that pick. But Aginla has a real solid potential to be an absolutely top goal scorer, and I think that's something that Seattle Kraken are desperately missing, so it only makes too much sense not to pass him over here. At 10th overall, we have the New Jersey Devils, and I have them taking the right shot defenseman from the WHL's Calgary Hitmen, Carter Yakimchuk. He would be another solid prospect to add to their blue line, 6'3", one of the older players in this draft class. He's got lots of big offensive talent in his game. Certainly has the potential to be a real solid two-way top 4 defenseman, but more known for his offensive ability. So he already has a real pro shot, and not to mention he's got a mean streak to go with it as well. So he's got the size and strength already of a top NHL defenseman. So to me, I think he would be a real solid complement to that Devils blue line, and certainly been missing a little bit of that this year for sure, even though it'll take a couple of years for him to have that impact on the team. So those are my top 10 picks based on this draft lottery simulations, of course factoring in prospect rankings plus what I think each of these teams would do in that given situation. Usually near the top of the draft, regardless of what your team needs, you kind of have to go with best player available. But once you're down a little bit, it kind of starts becoming more of a positional based need, usually depending on how they feel about all these different prospects. So let me know what your thoughts are on my prospect selections, who you'd select in some of these situations, and which team you're kind of rooting for and think needs to get that first overall pick the most, and how is Celebrini going to impact that franchise? Let me know, and we'll talk about it further in the comment section. If you're new to the channel, of course, make sure you subscribe and stick around. Lots more content coming for the 2024 NHL Draft and all of its top prospects, plus all the news and rumors regarding all 32 NHL teams. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.